All right, hey, welcome back, everybody. Your host today, Vampire Lord, with my co-host, that Comrade guy. And tonight we are going to be talking about one of the very most famous games out there, or at least I consider to be famous, anyways. Is Dark
Oh,
Souls.
they're absolutely famous because they raise the bar every generation.
This is so true. So that is tonight's podcast episode. Is going to be all about Dark Souls. However, I do want to start this off kind of a little special. This is just kind of like a me thing. He didn't know about it. It just kind of came up out of the blue. Guys, look, gaming community, love you people. You know, there's going to be people out there that are, very, what's the word I'm looking for? Competitive. I don't care how competitive you are. Don't cheat, guys. Come on, cut the cheats out. We need people to get out there and start calling these hackers out. Like it's getting out of control.
Look.
Bad.
If you think that cheating makes you a better gamer because you're quote unquote smarter for doing it, it just makes you the weakest gamer in the world because you have no skill to use the mechanics of the game to win, and you have to edit it in order to pull off a small W.
For a good example, this is a dude that's been going on. I forgot his tag altogether, but he does lives on TikTok, I believe. I saw him twice, and what he's doing, and this is in a Fortnite game. I know not a lot of people like Fortnite, but it differs. It's whatever.
I mean, ever since Zero Build, I've been playing it more, and I've genuinely been
Yeah,
enjoying
I've been
it
slowly
more.
getting into it myself. But still, it just this dude's. I don't know what he's doing, what kind of mod he's using or anything, but it's like he's flying around the map in a vehicle, going into different locations, and landing on people. And the moment he starts fighting them, if you pay close attention, you notice there's like this red outline of the other person's character he's fighting, so he can see what they're doing behind cover.
Well, also, the thing with that is that there are no flying vehicles in Fortnite. There are plenty of vehicles you can drive, but none of them fly. And even if you try and launch it off a cliff, it doesn't have GTA 4 physics. It just goes down.
Well, actually, I can prove that in different.
All right. Anyways, yeah, if you're a cheater, fuck you. You're a bitch. You're not a pro gamer. You couldn't handle the actual game, so you had to find a workaround. You are nothing.
And before you start throwing those hate comments at us, yes, we're aware of our skill level. Yes, we know what we can and cannot do. If something happens and it's our fault, we call ourselves out on it. But if we see something that doesn't make sense in the game, we call them out on it. That's how.
Look, I have never claimed to be the best gamer. Never. I've never claimed that. And I've played Fortnite. I've played COD. I played Apex. I played all kinds of competitive games. But I have never been at the top of the barrel.
Never. Absolutely not. Neither one of us.
Like, I can do well and I can hold my own, but I'm not going to be the fucking, what's it called in COD? Like the person at the top, Kingslayer? No, that's Kingslayer when you kill him, isn't it?
That sounds more like Halo. It's I know what you're talking about, but I can't think of it. It's been a minute.
Basically, I've never held the top spot.
And then on top of that too, with that being said, to all you COD players out there, drop the fucking wall hacks, drop the fucking aim assist, get good. Now,
if you need aim assist, go play something else than COD.
Dude, I noticed they're bringing aim assist into fucking Fortnite, man. One of the easiest games to play.
Yeah, it's pretty horrible. Like, I've always hated aim assist because it's not that hard to just aim yourself.
It's not. It's terrible. But anyways, on to the video for tonight.
Let's move on to our main topic. Anyways, hello everybody. I'm that common writer guy, and we are here to talk about Dark Souls. This is our first chapter 1 podcast, and we had a little polling, or at least I put a poll out on my YouTube channel. And for a while, it was tied, like a 3-way tie. It was Assassin's Creed, Dark Souls, and Dead Space.
I was getting ready to get my For Honor fired up to break the tie.
Yeah, he was. But then we had someone pulled in last minute, and so we had another vote for Dark Souls. So here it is. I was very unprepared for this because I was expecting us to do this tomorrow on a Sunday, but then plans changed, and so now we're doing it today. So all my prep work is going to be very rushed.
Hey, it's all right. Don't rush it. We got time. That's what this is for.
Anyways, Dark Souls. Yeah. Why
Alright,
can't
man.
we die?
So lay it on us. What's the lore? Why can our character in the game not die?
Well, before we talk about like lore or anything like that, I want to talk about the game itself.
Okay,
So,
fair enough.
First, I want to talk about the man who created Dark Souls.
Always
His
got to
name
give out that
is-
shout out.
Well, he's a very legendary man now in the gaming community.
This
So
is true.
he has created every Souls game. He's been the main developer and producer of Dark Souls, Bloodborne, Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice, Elden Ring, even the original game that started all, Demon Souls, which I'll talk about in a minute. So the creator's name, and I'm probably gonna butcher this, is Hidetaka Miyazaki. We'll just call him Miyazaki, because that's a bit easier
Butchered
to say.
right there at the beginning.
Oh yeah, yeah. Especially since it doesn't translate well to Japanese names do not translate well to English. But anyways, yeah. So Miyazaki has been the main creator of all of them, and I mean he's also one of the head like developers at FromSoft as well because of his success with the Dark Souls franchise. So he's had his hands on other FromSoft games too, like the Armored Core 6 that came out not that long ago. Like, if FromSoft works on a game, he is most likely on the project in some way.
So my question is then, because you know more about this than I do, and I'm glad you do, so I'm just going to kind of be the guy to ask questions here. What got him into making these special games? What led him down, wanting to do these?
Okay, so that is the best question you could have asked on this, and it was the question I was really hoping you would ask.
I'm always going to ask the right questions, man. You know me.
We'll see.
Oh, okay.
No, it's just like I've been like planning out our entire podcast for like a week now, and I've been like trying to predict what questions you may or may not ask.
Bro, just don't predict. Just go with it.
Look, that's just how I am sometimes when I'm excited about something. I try to plan for it, like do that weird mental gymnastics. Anyways, so Miyazaki, he's also a pretty big fan of specifically manga, not really anime. From what I remember, I watched a documentary, well, not really a documentary, but like an info video on YouTube about it, where he talked about all the different mangas that he just absolutely loves. I don't remember if he mentioned anime, but the one manga he absolutely loves, and if you pay attention in Dark Souls, you can see the similarities. So like it's so unbelievable, it's uncanny, and that manga is Berserk.
I feel like I've heard of that manga, but I can't recall it at all, so I'm gonna have to go look at that later.
I have never been more disappointed in you in my life.
Look, man, you know what? Some of us got free time, some of us don't. I just happen to have been able to get that free time.
Okay.
Okay.
So I will explain the main character of Berserk, and then we will move on. We won't move on. I'll explain the main character, and then you might know what I'm talking about. That's what I meant to say.
Totally not right now. Trying to look up that manga book or anything at all.
Okay, so there's this man clad in black armor. He's missing an eye. His name is Guts. He has a metal left arm, and he is known as the Black Swordsman. He wields a sword known as Dragon Slayer, which is just as big as he is tall, and Guts is 6'4". He wields a 6-foot sword that weighs 300 pounds, and I wish I had the quote ready for you, but I was really hoping you already knew what Berserk was. So basically, there's a quote you see a lot in the first couple volumes of Berserk that is, "It was too big, rough, and thick to be called a sword, more like a hunk of raw iron."
Oh god, no.
So Berserk is a medieval dark fantasy produced by Dark Horse, and the author sadly passed away a couple years ago.
Sad to hear.
Yes, always sad. But it is by far one of the best mangas in the world. It is, like, yes, there's an older anime of it from the 90s. There's a couple movies about the golden age of Berserk. And there is a short show about after the golden age. But the best way to experience Berserk, because so much context and detail gets edited out of the animes and the movies, is the manga. And it's dark, it's depressing, it's uplifting, it's motivational, it's hilarious at times.
I feel like I might have actually seen this now that I'm looking at it.
Yeah. Like there's it's got real reality, like the horrors of old
First
medieval
series
warfare.
was made 1997 through 1998. Film series was 2012 through 2013, and then the second series came out in 2016 through 2017. And they even have a video game on it too.
Yeah, I've actually got the PS4 video game. It's called Berserk and the Band of the Hawk.
So that's actually pretty dope. It's actually made itself a legend.
Yeah, I will tell you what, we will do an entire episode dedicated to Berserk one day where I tell you the story of Guts.
With what I'm reading, absolutely. I absolutely agree.
So, anyways, so Berserk, it was... I'm already forgetting his name, I apologize. Good thing I've got the tab pulled up. It was Miyazaki's biggest inspiration for the Dark Souls franchise. And you can tell, because every video game, there's a giant double-edged great sword. There's all kinds of different badass armors.
Weapons.
Yeah, there's giant armor you can clad yourself in. And here's the biggest parallel. The unbelievably big bosses compared to you, a normal guy. Because Guts fights these demons called apostles, which I'll explain when we do Berserk. So apostles are basically giant fucking demons. Like, they are massive, they are strong, normal weapons can't touch them. They eat people because it satisfies their hunger, or because they love watching people suffer. And they are, again, massive. Sometimes they're dragons, sometimes they're just giant dogs.
I'm already seeing a lot of the resemblance into Dark Souls.
yeah, like apostles are massive, and Guts is Guts is not a normal guy, first of all. Technically he is, but like Guts isn't like a chosen one or like a last descendant of a dead race of ancient warriors. Guts is just a dude.
About Guts.
So just like with your character in Dark Souls, you're just a dude, a normal-sized human, going against fucking dragons, giant demons. Every boss is bigger than you, and if they are the same size as you, they're quicker, they can teleport, and they got bullshit weapons.
Alright, so what we know so far is that his ideas for Dark Souls came from the Berserker manga.
Absolutely. And he has said this many times, that Berserk has always been his greatest source of inspiration.
Okay, so now let's take that and get to where we are in the game. How did his ideas become, realistic?
Well, it was real simple. So the first game actually isn't Dark Souls 1. It's a PS3 exclusive game that did get a full remake for the PS5 called Demon Souls.
Okay.
So Demon Souls it's basically Dark Souls, but with wonkier mechanics. So Demon Souls, you're a lone knight or traveler or whatever. You got different classes you can choose from that give you different weapons. You go around the world, you fight corrupted enemies like corrupted humans. You fight dragons, you fight demons. You kill bosses to gain their souls, and your end goal is to basically free the world from the suffering of all these bosses that are just making life living hell.
So
that was Demon Souls, and a lot of people have never heard of Demon Souls because for a while you could only play it on the PS3. It wasn't even on Steam.
That would kind of be odd, considering if it was released for PlayStation 3, because it was released within. Let's see, in Japan, it was released in February 5th of 2009, and then.
Are you talking about Demon Souls or Dark Souls?
No, I'm talking about Demon Souls.
Okay.
Let's see. I think NA would be somewhere in America, North America. That would October 6th, 2009 is when it was released, and then wherever that place was. So, I mean, it was released within the year.
Dark Souls was also released I believe in 2010, and then the following year, 2011, was Dark Souls 2. Though I could be wrong about that. I probably am wrong about that. I'm probably getting my years mixed up.
Well, I see they did a remake on Demon Souls for 2020.
Yeah, it was also one of the earliest PS5 games made for the PS5. And
I'd like to play more of
but
those.
just like with the original Demon Souls, you can't get the remake of Demon Souls on Steam or anywhere else. It's a PS5 exclusive. Why? Because that's what the developer wanted. But
See,
the remake
Dark Souls
is
first release wasn't until September 22nd of 2011. So you were
that's what
close.
it was. Yeah, so the first one was 2011.
So that means that Demon Souls lasted for a year, and I guess it didn't get a whole lot of credit, so they turned around.
Well, in Japan, it got so much attraction that they made a sequel. They didn't really care if it did well in America because they were gonna release the sequel anyways. Well, not really a sequel. Like Dark Souls and Demon Souls are very different games. They have similar fighting, but that's it. Like, so example, in Dark Souls, you have what's called an Estus flask, and that's your healing potion. You drink it, you regain some health. In Demon Souls, you eat grass.
Moo, motherfucker.
That's not even a joke. You have what's called moonlight grass, or crescent moon grass, or full moon grass. And you eat it, and it regenerates your health.
Well, at least the idea was there to at least consume something to regain health.
Yeah. And is that something from Berserk? No, it's not. That was something the developer came up with on his own.
Hey, sometimes you got to make the idea your original idea, even if you are getting,
the biggest parallels to Dark Souls, to the Souls series, which is what's often called by fans, to the Souls games and to Berserk is mainly in like the armor, the weapons, and the bosses. Oh, and the world, of course, because it's all medieval.
Of course.
Like even Elden Ring, you can see, like Elden Ring has a lot of parallels to like the more recent chapters of Berserk because yes, the manga is still ongoing. For those who don't know, the author is dead, but his two apprentices have taken up his work and they're continuing the manga in his name.
Well, that's great. I'm glad to hear that because some people don't do that no more.
No, and they are keeping it true and faithful to his original idea.
Which is also another good thing, because a lot of people that take over somebody else's work tend to blow it off as much as possible.
Looking at you, apprentice of Kishimoto.
Ooh. Anyways.
So that's a topic for a whole nother day. Anyways, in Dark Souls, yes, you could call it a hack and slash game, but it's a dark fantasy RPG to its core.
It's also very strategic too. If you don't do something you're fucked.
You cannot, well, for the regular enemies like skeletons or ghouls, you can just charge in blindly and whack them. But when it comes to like bosses or like enemies that are at long range, or even
You're
like
fucked.
the guys that have magic, you will get fucked. And that's the biggest thing of Dark Souls is it is trial by combat and stubbornness. Like you will die. And when you die, it's your decision to get up and try again or give up.
Some people truly just tend to give up.
Like when I first played Dark Souls, I had never touched any of the games, but at the time only Dark Souls 1 and 2 were out. And I played it on the 360 with my nephew in the living room. Context, my nephew's a year older than me. That's because family trees are fucking weird. Anyways, I genuinely at first hated it because I didn't get the concept. I was frustrated with how unforgiving it was. But then when I picked it up for a second time and was like, all right, I'm going at it again. It's one of those things where it's a hate and love relationship. You hate it when you get fucked over and you're doing horribly at it, but you love it when you're killing shit, when you're doing good, and when you learn from your mistakes. Because you will, if you don't learn from your mistakes, you will suffer.
You know, I have to say, even though I've never beaten any of the Dark Souls games, which I'm sad to say, I never have.
I've only beaten 3. Don't feel bad.
Those particular games, though, have taught me a lot about gaming. They really did. And a lot of it is that no matter what the obstacle is, there's always a way around it, whether if you have to make it yourself or if you have to find an actual solution.
Or sometimes if you can't beat a problem now, just leave, get stronger, come back, and then you'll be able to beat it.
Mm-hmm.
I actually saw, when I was doing research on the bosses, I found this hilarious video on YouTube where a guy tried to beat every Souls game at level 1, like no leveling up, just to see which game is hardest to beat as level 1. And I don't know, I didn't watch the video, so I don't know how that went, but just the idea of that was hilarious to me.
I can probably tell you right now, if we're putting the games in order, and yes, this is going to include Demon Souls now that I know it's a game, and also Elden Ring. If I have to be honest, trying to beat any of those at level 1, they're all terrible.
Oh, they are. Personally, I think it's going to be, I think it's going to be Dark Souls 2, because here's a mechanic that only exists in Dark Souls 2 that is unforgivably punishing. So there's this item in Dark Souls 1 and 2, because those are the main games we're going to be sticking with today. We talked about Demon Souls. If people want a more in-depth like video on that, we can do that. But for right now, we're sticking to just Dark Souls 1 and 2, because story and lore-wise, it's essentially copy and paste. Anyways, there's this item called humanity, which I'll get into when I talk about the lore, where when you use your humanity, or the item called humanity, it boosts your health, your stamina, your strength, everything. It restores your humanity. And if you don't have those in Dark Souls 2, like if you don't have one to restore your humanity, every time you die, your health bar gets smaller until it gets to a tiny little tick where even the beginning tutorial enemies can one-shot you.
Oh, wow. I didn't even know that was a thing. Ooh.
Yeah. Dark Souls 2 is the most punishing when it comes to, like, health, in my opinion. Because Dark Souls 1, you die, and, yeah, your health goes low because when you die, you lose your humanity. But it's still set at a certain level. Like, it's not, every time you die, it's not going to get smaller.
Well, and with that being said, now that kind of leads me to ask. So, you know how any other point in time while you're playing the game, your character dies, you start noticing like what looks like he's slowly decaying each time he comes back after being killed? Is there a way do those elements like help your character like rejuvenate his looks of his own body, or does he still remain as a petrified skeleton at some point?
No, okay, so I'll get into the title of the video now, and like what I feel like you've been wanting me to address, the why can't we die. I'll talk about that for a second. Like, you know what, most people have a general good idea what Dark Souls is. Let's dive into the lore.
I like lore.
Okay, so the lore of what you are, which is sometimes called an Ashen One, and Unkindled, Soulless One. I'm trying to remember what it was in Dark Souls 1, because it was something very specific. Basically, you're a very unique entity, but you're not the only one that exists. So the other humans and NPCs you meet around the world as you progress through the game, they're the same type of human you are. So to restore your looks when you're in Dark Souls, when you get like withered and skeletal, you just have to find the item called humanity and use it, and it'll restore your looks.
Okay, so because I was always curious about that, because every time I would play it and I'd die, I'm just like, man, I wish I could turn around and reverse what's happening to me. I look like a fucking skeleton.
Yeah, so there are also like pathways in the game, like little side quests and stuff that will make you a skeleton, but it will be permanent and you can't reverse it. It's like a darker path and stuff. So you're a human that is the reason you can't die is because you have been chosen to relink the fire and either continue or extinguish the Age of Fire. So in Dark Souls 1, all the ghouls you see going around, like the guys who are mindless and soulless, and they're just swinging their swords wildly at whatever moves, those are also guys who were tasked with going out, beating the bosses, becoming stronger for the said fire, but they failed. They lost their soul and their humanity, and now they're just a mindless, basically zombie that attacks whatever moves.
Huh.
And yes, that can happen to you if you ever give in. So Dark Souls has very depressing lore, and it is a story of constant death, because when you revive, you remember dying. You remember the pain. You remember whatever it is that killed you. And there are some bosses that have attacks that if you get caught up in them, it like they skewer you, lift you up, and it's like a drawn out like attack. You remember that, and you remember how it felt. So your character,
that's fine.
yeah, like your character, because you can customize your character. Because again, it's an RPG. Even though Dark Souls is the definition of what role am I playing? The fucking victim?
I mean, I felt like that was the case, but you know.
I mean, basically. But you've seen that meme, right? Where the guy's like, it's a fucking RPG. What role am I playing? The victim?
I thought the role was just the peasant, you know?
No, peasants get left alone. You're the victim. So, anyways, I'm sure people in the comments who are much more adept of the lore than me can, like, correct me and whatnot. But I am giving you a basic synopsis of it. I'm also trying not to dive too deep into it. I'm keeping it fairly simple.
I apologize, guys. It's a learning curve for me.
Yeah, but it's fine. So, okay, so now to the lore of Dark Souls itself. Well, mainly the first and second game, because again, they're basically copy and paste. So, in the world of Dark Souls, the world fucking sucks. There was nothing but darkness, and dragons were everywhere, and they were eating people, burning them alive. Dragons were basically tyrants just because no one could challenge them.
So what I'm hearing is that most of the point was for you to become the hero to say "fuck you." Got it.
Well, no, not really. I'll get into that in a second. I just wanted to hear your reaction to like dragons just being absolute dickbags.
Well, see, when I first played the game, though, my intake of it was that we were in a completely different universe. Like, we weren't even, like, among the living. We were in what would be, like, that character's version of hell or somebody's version of hell, and you're there in the underworld,
Nope,
basically.
you are in the world of the living, motherfucker.
Living my ass? Where's the living people?
Well, I guess it's more of undead, but you get the idea. Anyways, so yeah, the world sucked. It was nothing but darkness. Dragons ruled. At times, just them flying overhead would cause buildings to collapse and crush people. And they knew it did that, so that's why they flew low to the ground.
Fair enough.
So one day, when the earth split, there was this great fire that rose up from within the earth itself. And this began the Age of Light. So this great fire chose champions to wield it. And I forget the names of these champions, but you fight all these champions as you go throughout the game because they're bosses. They become so powerful. They are the bosses of the game. So one of them is the first Lord of Cinder, known as Gwyn. He's the final boss of the main game, and he is a strong motherfucker. He was the last king of man alive, and he started up the fight against the dragons with the other Lords of Cinder. One of them being the Great Wolf Knight Artorias, another one being known as one minute, I had the bosses looked up. He's this basically lich skeleton. Yeah, he's a giant skeleton made of other skeletons with a robe of skulls and black feathers and leather.
I feel like I know who you're talking about, but my brain's also foggy at the moment.
Yeah, he's I can't find his name. Basically he's this weird, it's not showing up. Anyways, he's this giant lich that commands, like, his magic is all death magic. Like, he fought back against the dragons with armies of risen skeletons and just waves of like decay magic that could sunder trees as big as a skyscraper.
No, it's not Nito.
It might be Nito.
Could it be Nito?
It's probably Nito. Let me look real quick at because I've got the whole thing pulled up. Great Witch, Gwarlag, Grey Wolf. Okay.
Gravelord Nito.
That's him. Gravelord Nito.
Let's see.
So he's
Holder
not
of
the
one
only
of the
ones.
Lord Souls. Sorry.
Yeah. No, it's fine. So there are these 4 champions of the flame, and they were sometimes referred to as the Dark Souls. So, also, one of the dragons, called Seath the Scaleless, rose up against the other dragons because he got tired of their shit and fought alongside of the humans and the other lords of the Dark Soul. And he basically betrayed his own kind and told Gwyn and the other lords how to destroy, how to fight against dragons.
It sounds kind of like a Skyrim thing, one dragon against them all.
Kinda, yeah. But Seath also eventually went mad and tried to become his own powerhouse. So he was sealed away in this crystal empire kingdom thing. Basically, he was locked away in a chamber of crystals, and for trying to betray Gwyn and all the others. So this started the Age of Fire. And the Age of Fire was nice for the first couple decades, and then the fire started to fade. Now, this fire, as it's fading, it needs a new champion to reignite it. So, how do you do this? Well, you take someone who's really fucking powerful, and you have them burn in the sacred fire. Basically, they are a kindling to keep the fire lit and keep the Age of Light lit. Because even though the world sucks and it's terrible, it's better than how it was before. Think about that.
So it sounds like if the lore were to go as it should have, you are basically chosen to slowly become the next champion that would eventually sacrifice themselves within this fire.
Yes, and that's also why. So I'm going to show you a picture of the final boss of the game before any DLC, Gwyn, Lord of Cinder, and I'm going to send a picture of him on Discord for you so you can get a good look at. Oh, I guess you could look him up yourself, really.
Well, that's kind of like what I'm trying to do in the game. It's just kind of like, nah, fuck you.
Yeah, so it's Gwyn, Gwyn, Lord of Cinder.
Ah, here he is. All right, found him.
Yeah, so do you see how he's kind of decayed and stuff? And he's a zombified.
Let's see. He was also known as the Lord of the Sunlight and headed the efforts of the end of the Age of Ancients together with Gravelord Nito, the Witch of Zilith. I think I said that right. And the Dragon Trader Seath the Scaleless. Commanding
he was known as a traitor not just because he betrayed his own kind, but he also betrayed Gwyn.
Wow. Commanding his knights, he led the lords to victory and oversaw the Age of Fire, despite being partly bequeathed to the Fourth Kings. I think I said that right. I'm sorry if I didn't.
Yeah, you did.
Seath Scale to the Four Kings. And Seath the Scaleless, his soul remains a powerful thing indeed.
Yes. So eventually, Gwyn and the other 4 lords, they sacrificed themselves to the fire to keep the Age of Fire going, and then they were resurrected as undead, mindless abominations. But what's ironic is that it wasn't one person who resurrected them from the dead; they did it to themselves. So why'd they do this? Well, they did it so that when someone worthy of relinking the flame showed up, they could test them. And only by defeating the 4 Lords of Cinder in combat and claiming their souls, because yes, that is something that your character actually does in the game. When you kill something, you take its soul.
Yes.
And by doing that, they would prove themselves powerful enough to relink the flame.
So
and what's funny is in the game, it gives you the choice to link the fire or let it die out.
I'm curious, did you ever do both options?
I've never beaten the first one.
Oh no.
Yeah, I had the game on my PS3, and here's a hilarious little tidbit. So, the 360 and PS3 copies of Dark Souls 1 there's a glitch in the game where you can basically spam souls and get infinite souls.
I feel like that glitch exists in almost all the games.
Well, eventually it does at one point, but the difference is Dark Souls 2, 3 that glitch got patched. In Dark Souls 1, it got patched for the remaster of it. It did not get patched for the 360 and PS3 copies. Basically, you do this certain amount of movements where you attack, and then you while you're attacking, you use the use button, which is either square or X, depending on what console you're playing on.
Right.
And you'll use the soul, because when you gain like a soul of something, like a hero soul, a common soul, or a boss soul, which boss souls can be made into weapons, like into their boss weapons. It's a pain in the ass in Dark Souls 1 to do it though. Anyways, you can just use them to increase your soul count for armor, weapons, upgrades, or just to level up. There's a glitch that I abused the fuck out of because it existed, where I spammed the fuck out of boss souls and I leveled the fuck up. And so on the PS3, I got to the last 5 bosses, but I never got further.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, and eventually I just never finished it because I guess I just lost interest at one point.
So in that case, hang on. So there's a lot of bosses throughout the Dark Souls.
A lot of bosses, and I'm gonna give you the names and pictures of each boss as we go on. Like that's what I've been wanting to dedicate a whole segment of this video to, just telling you all the bosses and like showing you what they look like. Just because I want to see your reaction, and I want to see, we can do like a little rating thing, like how you rate their design, like on like I guess a scale of 10.
Let's see. Well, see, that's kind of like what I'm looking at right now. It's like all these bosses. So it's like I noticed. Yeah, no, I've been looking at them for a minute. I've noticed that like you have certain bosses that are like grouped with each other that are basically supposed to be quote unquote allies. But then you've got a bunch of these other bosses that I don't think I've ever heard of or seen throughout the entire game, such as
some of them are secret bosses, and some of them are also just bosses that. Have you beaten the first Dark Souls?
No, like I said, I've never beaten any of them.
Okay, so yeah, then a lot of those are probably just bosses you never got to. There's also a good chunk of them that are DLC bosses.
This is true. No, you're right.
Okay, so any questions about the lore?
None that I can think of at the moment, but because there's going to be extra lore, I'm sure one will pop up eventually. So
okay, so let's move into the bosses then.
All right. Well, in that case, we're going to move to the bosses. Let's start with the Asylum Demon.
You fucker! You took my line. I was literally about to fucking say that, like almost word for word.
Did you predict that one, Josh? No, you didn't.
No. Anyways, so yeah, the first boss you'll fight in the game. So a common thing that every Dark Souls game has, except for Dark Souls 2 for some reason, is every game has a tutorial boss. Basically, it's a boss that teaches you what to expect from boss fights and just how brutal the game's going to be. Now, in Demon Souls, and in Elden Ring, you're supposed to lose to your tutorial boss. But in Dark Souls 1, you're not. Dark Souls 2, again, doesn't have a tutorial boss. And Dark Souls 3, you're supposed to beat them.
Well, I mean, you can beat the tutorial bosses if you're really good.
Yeah, but they're supposed to be a lot.
Entry.
No, well, sometimes, but usually it's just you beat them and then, oh, congratulations, you can move on now because you know what you're doing. But in Dark Souls 1, the Asylum Demon is really fucking tough to fight because your only weapon is a broken sword that does 2 damage max. What? No reaction to that?
Sorry. No, I mean, don't get me wrong. It's bullshit to start off like that. But
Well, no,
if I
it's a
remember
tutorial.
correctly,
It's teaching you how the world works because in the arena where you fight the asylum demon, if you immediately go to the left of the room and go out a door which locks behind you, your next item will be an actual weapon.
can't you? I'm pretty sure.
You
You can
can
beat the
kill the asylum
demon.
demon with the broken sword, but it's a pain in the ass, and I've never successfully done it.
I don't think I have either, but I think my cousin has. But
I've known people
that's
who have done it. It's hard. That's the main point. Like, yes, you can, but you're not technically supposed to because you get a better weapon and you don't have any Estus flasks. Like, you don't get Estus flasks until after you like leave the room.
For anybody that is attempting to try and beat this boss later on in life, if they haven't already, I can tell you it drops contents if you wish to hear it.
So, you once you get your actual weapon and you get your like 2 or 3 Estus flasks, you can beat down the boss no problem as long as you're not like greedy and you don't charge in and just try to fucking just like take all the hits because good luck with that. For being a very like he is an easy boss once you know what you're doing and you become like a veteran of the game style, but he can still kill greedy players and people who think they know what they're doing. So the next boss that so I'm going in order of like how you can encounter them in the game, not necessarily the order that you will encounter them because some bosses you can fight before others.
This is true. I've experienced that through Elden Ring.
Yeah, like once you beat the asylum demon, you go to your hub world, which is the Firelink Shrine. You will have a choice: go down the path that's clearly there, or go to the catacombs and get raped by skeletons.
So okay, now you got me guessing at which boss it is that's coming up next.
No. So I'm going to go in order by how like you're technically like quote unquote supposed to. But yeah, if you're playing Dark Souls for the first time, just go to the catacombs later after you've leveled up because those skeletons they hit really hard and they do have a good chunk of health. But again, once you level up, they become easier to deal with.
I don't know if the skeletons did it in the other Dark Souls games, but I know in Elden Ring that if you don't go and actually kill them, even if after you knock them over and they fall apart, they get back up.
So some skeletons do that, but most of them go down once you hit them the first time.
So that's kind of my experience on that one. That's why it's just like either don't fuck with them, or if you're gonna fuck with them, make sure you actually kill them.
Yeah. Again, only some skeletons do that, and they'll do the same thing in Elden Ring where they'll start to glow. But most skeletons in Dark Souls 1, you can just whack them and they'll stay down. I don't think any of the skeletons do that in Dark Souls 2. Most of them just die when you kill them.
Hey, bitch, look at my stick.
Pretty much. But anyways, like one of my favorite memes is, I'm going to look for it right now, but it's of Link in entering Dark Souls, and he goes to fight a skeleton thinking he can take it on. 1 second. I need to find it. Link Dark Souls meme. I'm gonna send it to you over Discord. Found it. The first one that pops up. Fuck yeah, now we're talking.
Will the next boss you're planning talking about be the Bell Gargoyle?
No.
No? Okay.
No. I mean, close. That's the one after this one, but patience will get there. I just really need to send you this meme because you're gonna love it.
Now we're sending memes. Okay.
Memes are always going to be a part of both video games and anime. You know this.
This is so true. Just going to start collecting a file of memes now.
I might as well. I was planning to in preparation for this, but then we decided to do it ahead of schedule. Okay,
sorry, surprise.
I sent it on Discord.
I'll let you know when I get it in the next 2 years.
God damn it. Okay, so I'll explain it to you. So imagine Link, like at the catacomb area, and he's, yay, new adventure, let's go.
First enemy.
Yeah, first enemy, let's get him. He's facing a skeleton. The skeleton grabs his sword arm, shivs him in the gut, and then says, "Welcome to Dark Souls, bitch."
Yep. Nope.
That
That's exactly.
is, and that's the perfect explanation for Dark Souls too. Like without needing to like explain it to someone, just send them that.
Now,
Anyways, the next boss is called the Taurus Demon, which you fight on a bridge. So the Taurus Demon, I would say, is your first test to see if you can handle the first like handful of bosses, because he can fuck you up at low level if you don't level up, and he can also sometimes be bullshit because his attacks are sometimes random, though they're not hard to understand. He's basically this giant raging minotaur with a hammer, and you fight him on a bridge that's broken, so you can easily be knocked off if he hits you. And do you have a picture of him?
I do. I'm looking right at him.
Cool. I'm gonna edit that later in the video, so that people can know what we're looking at. So the Taurus Demon, yeah. After that is the Bell Gargoyles, and the Bell Gargoyles is like the first boss that I would say will test your strategy. Like, how well can you adapt to what's going on?
I think that's any of the Dark Souls games, is to test to see how quickly you can adapt in order to overcome a challenge.
Yeah. So, so the Bell Gargoyles, when you go to them, well, it's a while till you get to them from the Taurus Demon. Like, it's actually a good distance. But once you get to them, it starts off you're fighting one gargoyle. You're learning its attacks. You might even know how to parry some of its attacks. Not me, because I'm a roll god, not a parry king.
I try to be parry king. I gotta stop.
I've given up on parrying. I'm a roll god. I will roll past everything, and you will never hit me until you have a bullshit AOE attack.
Watch me, bitch.
Anyways, when you get the first gargoyle to like half health when you first fight it, boom, second one drops in on you, and it's copy and paste. He does the same thing, but it's not telegraphed and it's not in sync with the other one.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, so you fight the Bell Gargoyles, it's a 2-on-1 fight. And here's the thing. If you fail to fight them, to like kill them the first time you fight them, every other time you go back to their boss area, they will both be ready to fuck you up at the same time.
Damn.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can imagine it.
I was wondering when your reaction
Now
was
you're just walking in, you're gonna walk in expecting it to be just a one guy in, like, all right, reset, let's go. Oh fuck.
All right, so the next boss is a fairly easy boss in my opinion, because once you understand, it's basically just dodging it. It's called the Moonlight Butterfly, and it's a giant green glowing butterfly.
Why a butterfly? That makes no sense.
It's just a butterfly. Well, in Berserk there is a demon apostle that turns into a butterfly, so it's definitely a reference to that. So are you looking at the Moonlight Butterfly?
I am, and it looks very beautiful.
Yeah, it even sings while you fight it.
Huh, it would distract me. All right then.
Well, no, it's like just it like screeches, but it sounds like a song in a way. Like it's not like an actual screech.
Well, I never fought it
Moonlight
myself, but depicting its description here, it looks easy.
So how do I explain the Moonlight Butterfly? It is a fairly easy fight as long as you don't get careless. So the Moonlight Butterfly, so let's say you chose Knight or Fighter in Dark Souls. Like that's your class you chose.
Right.
You are a level 1 fighter going up against a level 100 wizard. All the Moonlight Butterfly does is magic. It's got magic missile, it's got homing attacks, it's got blasts that if you don't roll past it, it shoots you across the entire bridge you're on. So the Moonlight Butterfly it's magic. It's parry this, casual, Alakazam! Even though it doesn't talk.
I'll roll a nat 20. I'm gonna use energy spears.
I cast magic, gonna chase your ass. But yeah, the Moonlight Butterfly is a mage for some reason, and it just attacks you with magic. I think it occasionally like swipes you with its wings, but if you keep your distance, it'll rarely ever do that. So the best time to attack the Moonlight Butterfly when you're fighting it is when it gets exhausted. It will stop and come down to the bridge to eat this moss that's growing on the bridge that I think gives it its magic powers, which is funny because the butterfly that the moonlight, like the moth that the Moonlight Butterfly is based on, is a moth that is born with no mouth.
It is called Face Bomb. The ability you talk about that it uses, the butterfly will rest its head at the side of the bridge to drink nectar, which also replenishes its health by 50 HP. Before it moves back to fight position,
if you don't immediately go and attack it, it heals.
Yeah. So if you don't where was I? Before it moves back to flying position, it charges up and causes a small explosive move away from it as it starts charging.
Yeah, it basically does Shadow's Chaos Blast.
You guys got a free tip. You're welcome.
Again, it's not that hard of a boss, but again, if you have very weak magic resistance, like if you're wearing armor, unless it's a special kind of armor, it's not going to have any resistance to magic. So it can, yeah, it can easily whittle away at your health, especially if you don't pay attention to like the attacks. But yeah, Moonlight Butterfly. The moth they base this design off of is a very strange moth because its life cycle is like 12 hours and it doesn't have a mouth. They are born without mouths, but they have stomachs.
Well, this Moonlight Butterfly is just special, man. That's all it is. It was raised with magic.
It's bigger.
It's bigger.
Anyway, the next demon you'll probably encounter if you follow the path is called the Capra Demon. Which, how do I explain the Capra Demon? It's a wild man. It's just a wild man. Look it up. Go ahead, take a look at it.
I'm looking at him right now.
It's Capra, C-A-P-R-A. It's just Capra Demon. It's a wild man with a bull skull on his head with 2 giant machetes. So
I was hoping to get like a more in-depth description of him a little bit, but that doesn't seem to be
that's it. He's a wild man with 2 machetes and a bull skull. I mean, he's got 2 dogs. He's got dogs. You have to fight the dogs and kill them.
Well, at least he's a dog lover.
Well, kinda. They're more like dogs are rabid and mangy, so I doubt he's taking care of them. He might even be eating them.
All right, well that's fair. Sad, but fair.
Yeah, but yeah, you fight him in this very tiny closed space, and when you enter his boss room, the dogs immediately lunge at you. And he's not really challenging. And by the time, unless you skip them, because you can skip the Moonlight Butterfly and go straight to him, you're probably high enough level at that point where you can kill him pretty quick. Like he's just a boss to beat a boss. But fun fact, you find more Capra demons later in the game that are just regular dudes. Like they're not bosses.
I just saw like a description about that. Yeah.
Yeah, you'll find him later. Like there's a couple bosses where you'll encounter them later in the game. And they're basically like that. Now that you're stronger, they're weaker enemies. So the next boss, a very famous boss, the Gaping Dragon. Go ahead, make your jokes. Lord knows I.
No, I don't want to. Already seen that thing. That thing looked fucking terrifying. Like that thing ain't a gaping vagina you can just fucking jump into, man. Let me tell you, no, that thing's gonna eat you.
That will eat you. Yeah, so I don't know what they were smoking when they came up with that, but I think I know which Berserk Apostle it's based on, but we'll talk about that when we do Berserk. So, the Gaping Dragon, you fight in basically a sewer, and if you cut off his tail, you get a very special... So, a lot of bosses in Dark Souls 1 and a couple in 3, if you cut off the boss's tail, it gives you a special unique weapon. But if you kill the boss and you don't cut off their tail, you'll never get that weapon. You'll never get it.
Bring in the Colossus.
Pretty much. But yeah, it's a massive fucking dragon. It's got multiple legs. It has a head, but its chest is what is split open with all the teeth. And avoid the charging attacks, the tail swipes, cut off its tail so it can't swipe at you. That's the best way to fight it. Oh, but don't worry, you won't be able to wield its weapon unless you invested all your upgrade points into strength, because you need 40 strength to wield it. And by the time you get to him, you'll probably have like 25.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
But anyways, that's that.
Description about them.
Nah, it's just a dragon stuck in the sewers.
I'm a lost puppy, Dad.
Next is a boss that I don't remember that much about. It's called the Stray Demon.
I just seen this Stray Demon. Where the fuck did you go? There it is.
Yeah, so the Stray Demon actually makes a return in Dark Souls 3. Oh, okay, no. So the Stray Demon is the Asylum Demon, just a different color. That's literally what he is.
A different color and a different name. So why is this one the Stray Demon and the other one's Asylum Demon?
So if you go back to the asylums where you start the game, you'll encounter him.
This is actually the first demon you see in the game. As you exit your cell at the beginning, you can be seen. He can be seen stomping around to your right. So you can actually see him before ever. Okay.
Yeah. He's at the asylums, and there to get back to the asylums is a huge pain in the ass because you have to climb a ladder and find this ladder that is literally a 5-minute climb in game. Like, you'll be sitting there just pushing up on your joystick for 5 minutes.
I mean, isn't all the games kind of like that, where it's just like, to
be fair,
like,
it's not padding. It's just a long ass ladder.
It's like, we're gonna make it easy for you to get here, but if you ever want to come back, you've got to do this ridiculous.
No. It is not easy to get back to the asylums, sir. It is not easy. that is your first mistake. Okay, but anyways, yeah, the Asylum Demon, it's a reskinned, or the Stray Demon, it's a reskinned Asylum Demon. Literally same weapon, same attacks, except I think he has, like, I think when he does his butt slam, he, like, can fart on you, and it does an AoE kind of thing.
Oh, God, no, not fart.
I'm just calling it a fart. I'm just calling it a fart. It's not. So, next boss is Chaos Witch Qualag. You know, you're not having a whole lot of reactions to these.
I'm more interested in what they are than I am, just by their names alone. Because my thing is, I would like more lore behind them themselves, if I'm being honest with you. So
there is lore to them. Like this woman, who's Ajirai Gumo, which Ajirai Gumo is a Japanese yokai, a creature that is
right.
It's the upper half of a woman grafted to the body of a spider.
Oh wait, I actually have something here that kind of explains. Let's see. One of the Witch of Izilis' daughters transformed into a monster by the flames of chaos. Her nobility siblings are the Fairy Lady and Ceaseless Discharge. I think I said that right. She guards the second bell of awakening.
Yeah, so in order to pass by this huge gate, you have to ring these 2 bells in the game. The first bell you get to after you beat the gargoyles, and you have to travel all the way to her to get to the second bell. And yeah, she's actually got a lot of lore to her. There are other witch sisters. You even encounter one of the witch sisters in one of the other Dark Souls games, because they are kind of connected, but not really. It's weird. But well, Dark Souls 1 and 3 are directly connected, but 2 is barely connected. I haven't talked much about 2 because Dark Souls 2 is literally it's the same story, just different characters. But anyway, so yeah, Chaos Witch Qualag, she's actually a tough fight, like, because her spider half, unlike the Jiraigumu of Japanese legend, it does have a mouth. It spews lava. She does have magic attacks that burn. Like, she has fire stuff. Like, and the arena's not that big. Like, you have limited space to work with. And yeah, she's one of the daughters of chaos who were corrupted. Like, She wasn't originally a witch, but she got turned into one. Yeah, and as you can see in a lot of the pictures of her, she wields a flaming sword. Which, you know, is just metal as fuck.
Why wouldn't it be, though, you know?
Yeah. What's funny is in Dark Souls 2, there's a boss that is kind of a reference to her, but not really. It's basically a boss that if you took two spiders and grafted them together like cat dog.
Like Lord Graffin. Anyways.
Yeah, so next boss is the Great Grey Wolf Sith. The best boy imaginable. So, I'm going to talk about another boss so I can explain Sith, which you've probably heard of Sith before. So, there was this knight that was the right hand of Gwyn, the Lord of Cinder. And this knight is known as Artorias. And you actually do fight Artorias in the DLC of Dark Souls 1. So, Artorias, yes, Artorias was this loyal knight of Gwyn. He was a champion of the fire. He fought the demons of chaos. He fought dragons. He fought a lot of stuff with his humble wolf by his side. His wolf's name is Sif. And Artorias eventually fell to the darkness of the chaos, and he became corrupted. And before that happened, he told Sif, wait in a graveyard, wait for me here, I'll be back one day. And he never returned. So where you encounter Sif is at the grave of Artorias, because he's waiting for his master to return.
According to the lore, Sif was Artorias the Abyss Walker's partner. When Artorias was swallowed by the Abyss, he threw up his great shield to protect Sif, as he could no longer bear it with his arm broken. Now Sif guards their fallen comrade's grave and his ring to ensure that what happened to Artorias doesn't happen to anyone else.
Yep. Oh, yeah, when you fight Artorias, he's already got the broken arm. Like, he's been corrupted by the darkness of the Abyss, and his left arm just hangs by his side.
Oh, here's something interesting. The name Sif itself is a female name of Norse origin. However, all translation into European European languages, there we go, with Grammarlic gender or whatever.
Sif is the wife of Thor. Sif is Thor's wife among the Norse gods.
That's why that's so familiar.
Yeah. It's funny because Sif is a male wolf.
Well, I mean, the name itself is a female name. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to pretend to the gender of, like, you know, said person that is named Sif.
Yeah, no, of course not. I just think it's kind of funny. But the boss
it is fight, that is true.
The boss fight with Sif, it's more heartbreaking than hard, because he takes up his fallen master's sword to fight you. Yes, a doggo with a sword instead of a bonking stick.
I mean, I feel like there's a lot of lore behind that. Now that's what I want to do. I want to dedicate an episode to literally just lore about certain bosses.
We can do that. This is mainly just a general overview I'm doing of the different bosses you'll encounter. But you want to hear the saddest part about fighting Sif?
Not really, but you go tell me anyways.
Yeah, too bad. You don't get a choice. So Sif is not that challenging of a boss to fight, honestly. He does good damage if you don't defend against him, but the more you damage him, the more hurt he gets. Like, he'll start to limp. He'll start to barely be able to lift the sword until you slay him.
Mm.
And yes, you have to slay him. You can't save him.
But I want to save the good boy.
Too bad. This is Dark Souls, bitch.
Fair enough.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Oh, we've got a fuck ton of bosses to go through, so and we're already running on to an hour, so I'm gonna rocket fire this. After Sif, we've got the Iron Golem. Nothing special. He's just a giant metal man, literally just a living suit of iron with an axe. He's an Iron Golem.
Still don't know how that one came to be, but all right.
He's an Iron Golem. Literally, there's not even any lore on him. He's just an Iron Golem that blocks your path.
The dwarves made him.
Dwarves made him, yes. This boss, I don't remember that well. I'm looking him up myself. The boss, Crossbreed Priscilla.
Crossbreed Priscilla, a half-dragon boss found in Painted World of Armiers. I think I said that right. An optional boss, she wields a great scythe.
Oh, that's why I probably haven't. Oh, no! I know this boss. This boss is a bitch.
If you do not wish to fight her, simply walk past her after talking to her and proceed towards the open ledge to target the to trigger the cutscene and your return to.
Yeah,
so she's complete optional.
She wrecked me.
Speaking with her doesn't make her aggressive.
No, it does not. So Crossbreed Priscilla. There is something else that you can't do unless you have her soul, so it is like a side quest thing, but again, optional. So yeah, like you said, she's half dragon. She wields this massive scythe that if she hits you with it, it will mess you up because it ignores your armor.
She is white as snow and has scales, though only on her brow and neck, hinting that her father is actually Sith the Scaleless.
So, that's actually been confirmed. Yeah, so her father is Sith the Scaleless. Who her mother is, I have suspicions, but I don't know. So, I'll talk about who I think her mother is when we talk about the double bosses. So,
there's a lot of these bosses we're going to definitely get into like some deep ass lore about.
Well, I'm trying to give a quick overview of them. So, Crossbreed Priscilla, she can turn invisible, and you can see her footprints in the snow when you fight her. But they're very light and hard to see, so you gotta really pay attention. And she can attack you while she's invisible.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. So next is Ornstein and Smaug. Oh, these are the double boys. Yeah, the double boys. Let's go.
Who and who?
Ornstein and Smaug. These two are some of the most famous bosses in Dark Souls 1. Because they both from the gate come out and fuck you up. So Ornstein and Smaug were two champion knights of Gwyn with golden armor who slayed a fuck ton of dragons. Ornstein with his spear of the dragon that he killed a lot of dragons with, and Smaug with his giant hammer that with a single blow could crush a dragon's skull into paste.
Ew.
So Ornstein is really big and hits hard. No, that's not Ornstein. That's Smaug. Smaug is the one with the hammer. So, Ornstein is really quick and he has lightning damage, and you fight them both at the same time. But what makes them unique is when you kill one, the other one inherits the fallen one's power. Like a cutscene triggers, and he'll absorb his fallen brother, and he will gain his abilities. So if you kill Smaug first, Ornstein absorbs his fallen brother, and he gets bigger, like he grows.
I was about to say, aren't they like actually brothers?
Yes, they actually are. They have been together since the day they were born, and they have never left each other's side.
Talk about loyalty.
Talk about brotherly loyalty. But if you kill Ornstein first and Smaug, so they will both grow to giant size no matter who you kill first. But if you kill Ornstein first, then Smaug will get his brother's ability of to channel lightning through his weapon.
Ooh.
Yeah. So my strat for them is kill Ornstein first, because when he grows, he's a lot faster than Smaug. And when he grows, he somehow gets even faster. So he's a pain to deal with.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, and it's funny because Ornstein is almost your height when you fight him. He's just a little bit taller. In Dark Souls 2, there's also a boss that's basically reskinned Ornstein, because it just has gray armor, but it's literally the exact same, but without the lightning. Yeah. So, next is the Dark Sun Gwendolyn. That's the next boss on the list. I'm just going over a list. You don't. This is a general order you can encounter them in, but some of them you can encounter before the others.
The last born of Lord Gwyn. Sad.
Yes. So this is the last son. Yes, that is a male son of the Fire Lord Gwyn, and he actually had 3 sons. One of them is in Dark Souls 3. So Dark Souls 3
that
can
would
get its
explain
own
why
video.
that would explain why. Isn't there a Gwendolyn in Elden Ring too? I'm sure that there is, right?
Well, yeah, but Elden Ring has no connection story-wise to Dark Souls. It's its own story. The names are just reused. Like, the Great Tree is different from the Sacred Fire. So, Gwendolyn, I haven't actually fought him, but he's big on magic. He's got whips, and he's been corrupted by the Abyss, so he's got these like snake legs that come out and attack you. You can kill them, but they'll eventually grow back. And he is actually I think it's really cool design wise.
He looks
and
cool.
Yeah, he's got this ornament that a lot of people of the family of Gwyn wear, where it covers their eyes but they can still see out of it. It's like his special crown made just for him. And he's got snakes.
Created the illusion of a sister Gwynvere to help guard over Orlando, and unmasking of those deities would be tantamount to blasphemy. I don't even think I said that right.
I couldn't tell you. But also, I forgot to mention, so Ornstein and Smaug, when you defeat them, you go into this big room where this giant lady is sitting on a type of like stone, basically couch, and she gives you the ability to upgrade your bonfire, which makes you stronger. And she's a big lady. Like, the most common message you'll see written on the ground is "big chest up ahead."
Big chest up ahead.
That's not a joke. And so I think she's the mother of crossbreed. I forgot her name. Of crossbreed Priscilla. I think that she is the mother because she's big enough. But also, that's Lord Gwyn's wife.
I mean, that is very interesting.
But also, what's funny about that is Seath is known as the betrayer. So, I imagine he would have gotten on Gwyn's bad side for, doing the dirty with his wife.
No, hey, everybody's got their choice of chaos, I guess.
Yeah, everyone got their own thing. Next is a pathetic boss that I mean pathetic in the sense that you can kill him in 10 seconds. His name, Pinwheel. He's Pinwheel. He is just Pinwheel. He's weak. He's pathetic. He'll kill you if you're early level because he's in the catacombs. And if you venture down to him, he'll kill you. But when you level up and come back and return to the catacombs, you can kill him in 10 seconds. I don't have any lore on him because he's boring, and he can disappear and create doubles, but those doubles die in one hit. So he's Pinwheel, and that's it.
Oh, well, I think I might have found something that might have given him some interest. First seen in the initial preview, Pinwheel appears to be a necromancer body of sorts, being controlled by 3 magical influent masks. It awards one of the 3 masks when killed, and the others may be purchased from Patches and Firelink Shrine.
Hey, fuck Patches! I fucking hate that guy.
Me too, man.
Patches is in every fucking Souls game except Bloodborne and Sekiro. He is in every fucking game, and he always tries to kill you.
Well, that's okay, because in Elden Ring, you can kill him.
You can kill him in every game. You can kill him in all of them. I'm just saying, he's an asshole.
Wait, if you can kill him in all of them, then how the hell does he keep making a fucking reappearance?
Well, because lore-wise, he doesn't die because he begs for his life, and you take pity on him.
I don't. Okay. That's lie.
Next is one of the 4 Lords of the Ember, Grave Lord Nito. because he's pretty neato, man.
Nito. Didn't we just talk about Nito? I'm pretty sure we did.
1 second, I'm trying to load up. Yeah, Grave Lord Nito. So he was one of the 4 lords of Cinder or Embers or Fire, whatever it's called. He is a very powerful necromancer, and he will mess you up in the. You fight him at the very end of the catacombs, and his whole right arm is his weapon. Like I'm gonna edit in like I'll put in a picture of him for the audience. But yeah, Dark Lord Nito is, or not Dark, the Grave Lord, my bad. Grave Lord Nito is awesome. He is a baller. Grave Lord Nito he was one of the biggest reasons why the 4 lords were actually able to fight back, because his magic of decay and death fucked up the dragons hardcore. Like they would rot away from the inside and outside at the same time. Yeah, and you can actually get his weapon in the game. If you beat him, you can get all the boss's weapons technically, but you can get his without needing his soul. You just have to pledge yourself to the Order of Necromancy.
Oh, so here's something interesting. You can join his covenant.
That's what it is. Not there are different covenants in the Souls games that give you different benefits. Like if you join Solaire's covenant, the Way of the Sun, he will help you in a lot of boss fights.
Oh yes, he will. What I find interesting about this though is that like sure you could join his covenant and you can progress in it, and not kill him for a while, but eventually because the game's going to force you to fight him, once you do kill him, you can no longer progress in that covenant.
Yeah. But also, eventually you'll have to kill him because he knows that the fire needs to be relinked, and only a champion with all the souls of the Lords of Cinder can relink the flame. So it's more of a sacrificial thing. He's called evil just because of how he looks, but he was honestly one of the most, he was not really evil. He did what he did because who else could do it?
I feel like Nito's going to have a very interesting backstory.
Oh yeah, and Nito also he stopped skeletons from randomly rising from the dead and killing people just for fun. Like for a while, he put a stop to it.
All right, who we got next?
Next is one we've talked about for a bit now. Seath the Scaleless.
Finally, this slimy motherfucker. Anyways.
No, Slimy's correct because he's called the Scaleless because he has no scales.
Envy and bitterness, words used to describe Sith's betrayal to his own kind. Unlike his brethren, Sith was born without the stone scales of the everlasting dragons. Sith, with the help of Grave Lord Nito, the Witch of Elis, and Gwyn, the Lord of Cinder, brought his own race to the brink of extinction, with many believing him to be the last of his kind. Or so they
Not
thought.
true, but yeah, for a while he was the last one anyone knew. There are the dragons; they were just in hiding, and yeah, that's another interesting thing about the dragons in Dark Souls and why they were so hard to kill. Their scales were made of fucking stone.
I wish I had
until
stone scales.
Yeah, until the fire appeared, no one had the power to get through their stone.
I wonder how he ended up being born without his skills.
I think it's just like a random mutation thing. I don't think it's like specific. I don't think there's a reason. I think it's just like albinoism, like how some people are just born with the albino gene and whatnot.
Very true, very true.
Because he's also very white. Like his skin is very bright.
He looks like he's been dead forever. Like he can't really do anything.
Yeah, but in the first cutscene of the game, when you first start, you see his skin is very pale. So that could be the reason. He could just be albino, and that could be because certain creatures when they're born albino, like brown bears, if they're born albino, they can't really hide in the woods, and they actually have trouble hibernating because they can't sleep properly. Snakes who are born albino do not have any camouflage whatsoever.
I do apologize, though. I should have said something a lot sooner if I'm not really giving responses because I'm fighting with acid reflex, apparently.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was
Yeah,
wondering why you were
so-
so quiet at times.
Yeah, no, I would have been drinking like some green tea by now, but I don't have any to make. I gotta go get something tomorrow.
Ah, very well. So the next boss is the Four Kings, who, if I'm not
Alright.
mistaken, is another optional boss. Now, I don't know much about this guy because I've never beaten him, and I've just never beaten him, and I've never really cared to learn more about him. But his figure was a collector's edition exclusive.
The wraith-like remnants of the four leaders of New Lando ruins who fell to dark after being tempted with the art of life drain. Defeating the Four Kings is necessary to the plot and is also needed for those players wishing to join the Dark Wraith Covenant, as they must defeat the Four Kings before obtaining the Lord Vessel from
There you go.
Edor Lendo, and talking
there you
to King Seeker Frompt. I think I said that name right. No, I said it wrong. I know I did.
So the most interesting part about the Four Kings, you can fight them when you first get to the Firelink Shrine. So there's this spiral staircase that goes straight down into this depth area where you can go and challenge the Four Kings. But be warned, you will die because you just got to the Firelink Shrine. Now, if you're one of those Unga Bunga guys who can beat the game as the Caveman class, which is literally a guy with a club and a loincloth, you deserve an award. You deserve something special.
How would that fight even work? Because I know it's called the Four Kings, but it looks like it's just a giant mass.
So when you get to his boss, well, his whole form is physical, but a lot of the wraith also can't be touched. You gotta get in close and whack him if you ain't got magic. But yeah, his boss fight is also 2 phases, because of course it is.
I mean, I thought a lot of boss fights were 2 phases, but I guess it's just me.
No, I mean, there's a good majority of them are, but most of them are 1 phase. Most of the bosses that are 2 phases are ones that, like, have more significance, like the Four Kings. So this next boss, I don't know why they named it this. It's called Ceaseless Discharge.
Let's see.
That's not a joke. He is Ceaseless Discharge. He is never-ending climax.
Oh, don't put it like that. Oh no, I can already see.
Hey, that's what a ceaseless discharge means.
Let's see. Not only an imposing fire-based boss found in the Demon Ruins, Ceaseless Discharge, as his name may suggest, is the source of the lava flow. Killing him will cease the discharge of lava. You get to the
Demon Ruins, it's lava. It's the lava level of the game. It is just lava.
Well, then that would be why his name is Ceaseless Discharge, because he's the one that's causing all the lava.
Yeah, because he's constantly reaching climax.
Look, man, he can't help it. He needs to have a day, all right?
He needs some fucking lotion. Look at that crusty face. Oh, there's this great image I'm going to put in the video later of him just relaxing in the lava pool with a towel over his head like it's a sauna. I'm gonna put in the Discord later too. Like I'll show you. It's fucking
First
great.
name that you mentioned still never came up in the Discord either, unless I'm just not looking at something.
It'll eventually fucking get to you, okay? So this was Discharge, the giant fire demon, because why not? He's big, he's fire. He's actually tough to fight because the arena you fight him in has lava everywhere and only a couple safe platforms. The lava's not like it's not like insta kill. Like you won't drown in it, but it'll fuck you up when you stand in it. Yeah, you will burn. You will burn, heretic. Anyways, we're almost done with the main game bosses. Then we'll get on to DLC.
Yeah, I think we'll do the DLCs at a later time after the main ones here.
No, yeah, because this has already been going on for over an hour. I wanted to do all the bosses real quick, but we talked more about the lore and the characters, which is fine because Dark Souls as a game is not hard to understand, and it's the lore that's really interesting.
No, yeah, the lore for games like that is always interesting, though.
Yeah. So
just like a good bit of lore for like Fallout. It's always interesting too.
Oh yeah, like game's simple to understand. Gun, wasteland, evil guy shooting at you, shoot him back.
But then the lore of why did this happen? How did this happen? How could it happen?
Yeah, it's super interesting. But anyways, the next boss is actually one you can also fight pretty much right after this motherfucker. It is called the Centipede Demon. What is he? He's a centipede demon. That, like the Ceaseless Discharge, you fight in a giant lava arena, but it's not really a giant centipede. It's a fucking demon with a centipede arm. So
because his arms and tail are made of centipods.
Yep, his arms are centipedes that when he punches at you when he's standing far away across the arena, it stretches out, and after the punch lands, the head then whips around to bite you for extra damage.
I don't like
I fought this guy on my PS3, and the arena killed me more than he did.
Wow.
Again, you fight him in a lava arena with little platform to stand on. Fuck that shit. Oh, and Dark Souls 2 is different. In Dark Souls 2, you fall into lava, you will die instantly.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. So the next one is the Fire Sage Demon. Guess what he is?
Fire and a demon.
He's the reskinned Asylum Demon, but he's on fire.
I'm not joking. Look at the end of the Demon Ruins. It very closely resembles the Stray Demon and Asylum Demon. Through the behaviors and abilities are much more.
There is no
related.
Closely resembling. That's a common thing with FromSoft and their bosses. At least with Dark Souls, a lot of them get reskinned.
I mean, that looks much better than the other two skins.
Yeah, I do think it's the better design one, but more because just the fire, and I like fire. But he's not he's basically these last three bosses we've talked about are pretty much back-to-back bosses in the same arena. Well, not arena, but like in the same area. For the most Demon Ruins, the Demon Ruins are fucking massive, man. Like the Demon Ruins go on for a while.
Alrighty, so is that our last boss there? Or do
nope, we got two more for the main game. So next is known as the Bed of Chaos. And the Bed of Chaos is simultaneously one of the most interesting bosses and one of the most bullshit to fight because it's a platform fight.
Of course.
So the Bed of Chaos is the origin of chaos itself in the world of Dark Souls. It's what corrupted the great champions. It's what created the demons. It is the Bed of Chaos. It's this giant amalgamation of like roots that can shoot lightning and that are on fire. So you have to, before you can get to the main body, you have to destroy these two other areas to the left and right. And to get to them, you have to platform jump over to them.
Oh, wow. That is terrible.
You fall, instant death. But on the bright side, when you return to the arena, if you've already destroyed the points to the left and right, they're done for good. They're gone, and you can just go on to the main fight. How is the main fight? I don't know. I've never gotten that far. I just know about the boss fight from other videos.
Oh, hey, at least you know more about it than I do, because I feel like I've just been sitting here reading, in all honesty, while you've been talking, because I don't know anything about the game. I mean,
you've been contributing just as much as I have, because you've actually taught me some things about some of these bosses that even I didn't know. So the last boss, the final boss of the game, and the boss you must defeat before you relink the flame, Lord Gwyn himself. Lord Gwyn, Lord of Cinder.
I don't think. Oh yeah, there he is. Okay.
Yeah, he's the final boss. He's the first one chosen by the Great Fire, and he helped like bring people together and lead them against the fight against the dragons. And he was never corrupted, but he did eventually die when he used his soul to relink the flame, and he was resurrected so that he could be the final challenge for the next champion worthy to relink the flame, because he would need to prove himself in order to relink the flame, because you need to be really fucking strong. And this guy is the final boss for a fucking reason. He is the toughest boss to fight. He's the fastest. He doesn't have a second phase because he doesn't fucking need it. He's got a great sword of fire. He will ruin your day.
It looks like a god to me.
He is a god in mortal flesh, and he knows it. But he's also humble about it. One of my favorite bosses in Dark Souls 1, just because he's just the Lord of Cinder. He's there to test you and to ruin your life. And to keep that last golden trophy away from you. Away from you if you can't beat him.
Oh, you want this? I don't think so. Splat.
Yeah, on PlayStation, you get the gold trophy for beating him. Most other bosses, you just get a bronze trophy.
That sounds about right.
Like this, and you cannot get the platinum without beating this man.
Well,
anywho,
I feel like I've learned at least a good bit about this game. For the most part. I wish I knew more to contribute more, but
great. Oh, there's only 4 bosses for the DLC. You want to do that real quick?
Nah, no, like I said, I think we'll do those for a separate episode.
There's only 4 of them. We've already talked about one of them.
I know, but I've really need to start getting my way to bed because it's like 2:13 here, man, in the morning.
All right. All right. So I'll make a vote, or a poll, if we continue the next episode with Dark Souls or we talk about Berserk.
Well, I mean, actually, that works absolutely. So, with that being said, guys, again, I apologize on my behalf. He's more knowledgeable about these games than I have been.
Bro, like don't sell yourself short. You actually taught me a lot of stuff today, like with the crossbreed princess. You taught me some stuff I didn't know.
Look, I mean, I'm just being honest though, because I only got to teach you a little bit because I was over here doing a little bit of research as we were going through these bosses.
Hey, that's effort, man. That's effort.
With that being said, though, guys, we will be doing another video shortly, hopefully pretty soon. This was kind of like a short, upcoming type thing, so definitely unprepared, unprofessional of us, but, things happen.
Well, we had a date and everything planned out, but then you had stuff that came up, so it's not that big of a deal. Plus,
it's my fault, guys. I'm sorry.
Nah, it's fine. Plus, this helps me take care of some stuff I was wanting to take care of for the weekend anyways.
So with that being said, if you guys want, like he said, he's going to start up a poll. I think what we'll do is this: we'll see if who wants us to sit here and get more in depth with lore, and if that's the case, that's what we'll do for this game.
So if we do another episode next week or whenever we do it, we'll do the DLC bosses real quick, because the DLC bosses, I'll tell you right now, the DLC for Dark Souls 1, which is called Prepare to Die Expansion.
Mm-hmm.
Not kidding. You go back in time before everything fell to ruin.
Ooh, that actually sounds interesting. But
that's how you fight Artorias. You go back in time.
That actually explains a lot.
yeah. But anyways, that aside, yeah. So, but if you guys want us to talk about what inspired the amazing director and creator of these games, Berserk, let us know. Because I will tell you the entire current story of Guts, and that will be a long episode, so you will have to prepare for that.
Trust me, I'm already going to start preparing.
I'll keep it fairly simple and not talk about the overly complicated stuff, but it's going to be a big video.
We would hope so. So, but anyways, thank you guys so much for anybody who stops by, watches, listens, whatever it is you consider it doing.
Absolutely. You guys are amazing.
And
also, don't forget, shout out to StreamYard for giving us the very affordable and easy way to make a podcast and finally get this done. Like, big shout out to StreamYard for their amazing equipment.
Absolutely, and a big shout out to that Kamen Rider guy for getting us out there as far as doing like prep vids and stuff like that.
It's just part of the business. It's not that big of a deal, but I appreciate
will
it.
eventually start trying to do the same. I'm trying to get a lot of things in order. So
In the future, if this goes well, we'll also do live recordings where you can watch it as it's happening.
Absolutely. To kind of give a small context, what's going on is that I'm looking to move pretty soon. So when we started this, I was actually in the process of trying to find a way to move. I'm not going to lie about it, guys. I'm currently without a job too because my last job decided to say "fuck you," pretty much.
Yeah,
If you want to know that story, hit me up. I will totally, do some short vids about it. Like, no problem. I got no problem talking about it. But yeah, so that's just kind of like where things are, and with everything. So, but again, guys, thank you so much, and Camarada Guy, thank you again for joining me on the stream. I'm happy to have you here.
Hey, thanks for having me, man, because this is great, this is fun, and I'm looking forward to so much more.
You and I both. So with that being said, guys, we are going to get on out of here. Everybody have a great night, a wonderful evening, a wonderful afternoon.
And don't forget, it's always henshin time.
Alrighty, guys. Bye.
Bye-bye.